Join the Wisconsin Chamber Orchestra on March 22nd at 7:30 p.m. for Revelation in the Capitol Theater, featuring the world premiere of Symphony No. 14 Revelation by Dr. Bill Banfield. Guests include the Madison Youth Choirs, the Festival Choir of Madison, and more. Go get your tickets online at overture.org/WCO. I feel pretty and witty and gay. Why, you ask? Why am I singing? Well, that's easy. Spring has sprung, and we're not just talking flowers. Our membership program is taking off, and the growth is incredible to see. You may have already heard we are in our first ever official membership campaign, and our CityCast Madison member fam is growing thick. We have you to thank for that, literally. Shout out to our new members. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, John. Thank you to a new Daniel. Thank you, Justin. Trust that we see and hear you on how important CityCast Madison and our Madison Minutes newsletter is to you and your life. If you can believe it, we've already made more than 300 episodes about our mad town, making sure you're in the know for all the events and happenings in our hamlet, introducing you to your neighbors who do things like run our city, clean our streets, cook your favorite dishes, and bring investment to our schools and lakes. If you want more of that, will you join us? If you value our work, help us make this sustainable. Sign up to become a CityCast Madison member today. So what are you waiting for? Become a member of CityCast Madison at madison.citycast.fm. See you in these streets, y'all. Today on CityCast Madison. It's Thursday, so of course, we're dishing on Madison's food scene. In February, a beloved family-run restaurant in downtown Madison closed. Morris Ramen. Morris, located on King Street, served up rich and popular dishes for over the past 7 years, and the closing came as a surprise for some, and certainly sad news for many. We sat down with Morris co-owner and chef Francesca Hong to learn about the closure and pay tribute to a local food gem. It's Thursday, March 21st. I'm Bianca Martin, and here's what Madison's talking about. Fran, hello.
Hi, Bianca.
So, first of all, something big really happened in your life, a huge change, and I want to ask, how are you?
I am maintaining. And trying to be okay. And I'm giving myself grace and some kudos for trying.
Hey, that's a great spot to be. You know, I got a little emotional preparing for this interview, and I know that you've gone through an emotional time, probably still there a little bit, for the closing of Morris Ramen. And, you know, I saw quotes, you know, when you announced the closure, that you and your partner in crime for this, Matt Morris, that we are both terrified and heartbroken to say goodbye. I saw is calling it like the death of a dream. So I just want to say, first of all, my heart goes out to you and the whole Morris Ramen fam and everyone in the community. And you had a closing night that was packed. And I wanted to ask a bit about how has the community responded so far to the closure?
The community has responded with this beautiful honesty and an outpouring of love. And you know, the restaurant, I always wanted it to be a space where people could be who they are, however they needed to be at that time. If they needed to come in, have a bowl of soup and get the fuck out, or to come and stay a while. And folks sharing memories, you know, they wove in all those things that we wanted the restaurant to be. And so the sharing of memories, the kiddos that went there when they were a baby like George, and then folks sending us photos of their kiddos now 7 like George. that really did make it a bittersweet but really beautiful goodbye.
And so George is your son, and he was born right when the opening, so he is literally 7 years old now. I also want to say that it's occurring to me when you were describing the kind of place that you were making that this is soul food. Morris Ramen was soul food. Does that resonate?
Yeah, I mean, I think soup is for the soul. When I was first training in restaurants to learn about how to become a chef, I was told that the best chefs make the best soup. And in no way do I think that I was the best chef or did we make the best soup. But
I beg to differ, but we'll talk about that later.
yeah, this that soup is for the soul. I think we look to soup when we need care, when we're in despair, when we're in love. However you're feeling, soup, I think, often helps you feel better, and that's what soul food's about.
And your ramen was so rich, it was everything. And I want to talk to you about the food a bit more. But first, I want to ask, I think this surprised some folks hearing about this news. It caught them by surprise. So I wanted to ask about what happened. Was this closing expected?
We had been struggling for quite some time. We did get some relief during the height of the pandemic, but not in the amount that we needed. And so when we didn't get the restaurant revitalization fund, that really set us back, especially with our rent payments. We were able to put things like the Paycheck Protection Program into ensuring that we could keep employees and keep folks paid. But the expenses went up. There was so much volatility when we were open, when we were closed, the inconsistency, the instability, all the fear that came with the pandemic. Our restaurant absorbed a version of that too. And so we were really hoping for some other financial support to come through. And it's really hard to have a restaurant downtown, pay your staff a living wage, and maintain any sort of good mental health. And so it really did get to a point where it was no longer financially feasible. Matt and I have some personal things going on, and we had a dream 7 years ago. Dreams can sometimes change, and as we wrote in the note, dreams can also die.
It's so true. And I wanted to pull out something you shared about the funding, the federal funding during the pandemic. And it sounds like you said it wasn't enough. You really see some restaurants who are able to weather the pandemic better than others. Y'all were a small family oriented restaurant. Did you experience anything around that in terms of disparities on how folks got help or that sort of nature?
I think for so many small family run independent businesses, the managers, the owners, even the employees, there's never just one job that we're doing. We are the HR department. We are the counseling. We are, Matt was the carpenter, the electrician, the HVAC. I don't know how many times I had to pull the shop back out and try to become a plumber. And so when you're doing all those things, and I know folks are trying to help, it's the time that we don't have and the time to, navigate all the different types of loans that were available. And so I think a lot of it is what we smaller family run businesses have to prioritize different things. We have to meet the immediate needs of our employees faster, and that means compromising somewhere else.
Well, it's very honest and vulnerable thing for you to share and very self-aware. So, I know you from my time working downtown originally as a server in three different spots. And I do have to wonder and think, if was there anything about being an Asian food restaurant that wasn't valued the same as spots with bratwursts and cheese curds or something like that? I'm thinking one way to make more money is raise your prices.
Yeah, that is difficult for any restaurant to do, but when you've got a food that is already very inherently thought up as cheap, because I'm pretty sure you can find a pack of instant ramen or top ramen for like 99 cents at the store, and you're an ethnic food restaurant, there is a built in culture that it's not supposed to be expensive unless it's in a more fine dining or it's supposedly more elevated dining space. So I think for downtown, we wanted to have a restaurant that was small, family run, and a neighborhood spot because I still consider downtown to be a neighborhood. I would like the culture to be coming from people being neighborly. So that's what we were trying to do with the restaurant. When we wanted to raise our prices, we had to be very thoughtful about it. And we still got a lot of pushback, or we would always be compared to, this isn't worth the price. And so
Ha!
there are some there are some disadvantages, and I think that I look at some of the restaurants that do really well in this town, and a lot of them are elevated or reimagined supper clubs, or you have to have one restaurant that's a little bit higher turnover, your burgers and fries to be able to support another restaurant that might have a different cuisine. And I think that there's always exceptions to this. One of my favorite restaurants downtown is Osteria Papavero, and Francesco has made it work for over 15 years. He makes me believe in if the food is good, people will come. And I believe that for us too. I believed our food was good and that people did come. But there were just some other systemic pressures we could not overcome, including a fucking pandemic.
Yeah. And I mean, being downtown, imagine foot traffic for lunch is a big thing. Like that's kind of one of the
Yeah.
big.
Many folks transitioning to hybrid working, lunch business. There's way more takeout. Even for downtown restaurants, I feel like it was harder for some of those delivery drivers to find parking, the fees that are associated with some of those third party delivery companies, loss of lunch, loss of foot traffic, constant construction. I mean, it's barrier after barrier. And the resilience of our downtown business owners, especially our smaller independent local businesses, it's really incredible what they're doing.
Like, what could Madison have done differently? And I hate to admit that the first time I had Morris Ramen was via delivery, which obviously, it's not nothing, still purchasing, but it was because I was working from home. I just think when you love something, support something. And you said the food was good and people were coming, but it wasn't enough. But were they coming enough? Did you get the support you needed?
um, we especially the summer was tough. I think one thing we don't talk about enough is finding that balance between programming and events for downtown and that increased foot traffic. It doesn't always translate to more butts in seats in the restaurants. We may have more people walking around, but that doesn't mean that they're to go out to eat at a restaurant.
Mm.
Sometimes we're competing with some of the larger events, and when you drive more people into a very tiny area, and I'm talking about maybe some of the bigger concerts, there was some live on King Street that absolutely we crushed and it was great, and others where it was just nobody else wanted to come downtown unless you were coming for a specific event or a specific show. And I just think there's just less capacity right now, and convenience is king. And when you don't want to park, when you don't want to deal with the crowds, it's that and a lot of other unquantifiable factors. Maybe if the prices for a city sidewalk right now, to have a sidewalk cafe, an outdoor patio, and who's investing in really Instagrammable patio spaces. And we didn't have, the resources to do maybe more marketing, or I mean, our lighting was shit in the restaurant, I will also say. And we held on as long as we could.
Easter's in full bloom at Whole Foods Market with great deals on spiral cut bone-in ham and leg of lamb, both crowd pleasers. Round out your spread with quiche, deviled eggs, and delicious catering platters from Prepared Foods. Oh, and remember to pick up a Whole Foods Market bunny cake from the bakery. Strapped for time? They cater too, with delicious options available without the effort. Find hundreds of Easter deals and delights now at Whole Foods Market.
Shipping can make or break a sale, so optimize how you ship your orders with ShipStation. They make it easy to automate and manage orders no matter how big your business grows. And they might even be able to help reduce shipping and warehouse costs. So optimize and keep up your momentum for growth with ShipStation. Sign up for your free 60-day trial now at ShipStation.com and use the code POD. That's ShipStation.com with the code POD.
Well, it's not great as a journalist to pick favorites publicly, especially a small place frowned upon. But in this case, Morris had the best ramen in Madison. No argument. Ramen's my favorite food. Started from the bottom with Maruchan, packaged noodles. And then I fell in love with ramen 2.70, originally at Umami Ramen over on Willie. This sort of ramen bowl. And I prioritize it whenever I go to a new city. In the other cities I've lived in, yours was the best in Madison, on par with the famous spots in DC and LA.
Oh my God.
And we have to give an ode to the food. Like, it was so good. Can you share a bit, like, what were the favorite dishes that Morris served?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you so much for saying that, Bianca. That means the world. And the soup was really good because of Matt Morris. We were one of the few places, if not the only places, that built our stock from scratch.
The broth was world class.
Yeah. We made sure to always get pork femur bones, chicken backs. We used Fox Heritage Dan Fox's back fat. Like, some of the best recipes, when you use good ingredients and you put love into it, and in our case, smashing bones with hammers to make sure we can get every bit of that, the collagen and all of the goodness that comes from extracting flavor from bones. And so the Morris ramen, really, the heart of it was the broth. But the other favorites were our pork bun. My favorite bun was always the fried squash bun, because for me, one of my favorite lunches is Indian buffet. And I wanted a bun to have all the flavors of an Indian buffet. So I was like, I'm going to ask around for people's favorite chutney recipe and then do it up with some yogurt dill, fried squash. And I'm going to make this taste like one of my favorite bites, when all of the flavors are like coming together on a plate and you go up with your old plate, not the clean plate.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
And then towards the end, Matt had a chicken karage, which I know was deeply beloved by many of our customers. So chicken karage with a little bit of chili crisp on top. And then we had a great run of ice creams. People usually were too full to have dessert, but they would go for one of our ice cream cookie sandwiches. Or for a while, we had our black sesame malts. That was early on in the first couple of years, where we made black sesame ice cream and then blended it with a little malt powder and served it with a striped straw. Yeah, but like the ones that were on the menu forever were Morris ramen, our squash bun. I know folks love the Satsuma fries too. I would eat those cold sometimes.
Yeah, those were dope. Those are really special fries. And those recipes live on, but it's a snapshot. The fact that you were using those sorts of ingredients that, like, there are the real deal, like you were saying, like y'all were really hitting it.
Yeah. People always wondered, like, why do you have a hammer on, like, next to all of your kitchen equipment? And I was like,
oh, don't worry about that.
Well,
it's all part of the process.
It's one of the secrets to the soup.
What do you think you'll miss most about Morris?
Oh, that's easy. The people. For the first, I think, 5 or 6 years before COVID, we had almost 60 to 75% of our opening staff were still around, at least in a full-time or part-time basis. Our regulars who came in the first month we were open, and we saw them till the last night of service. All the people who celebrated everything from their first date and had a wedding photo taken in there to the iconic breakup. I gotta tell you this. So I think our beautiful friend Sasha
Yes.
was serving a table where it clearly they were not having a good night. And you could hear.
And you can always tell.
Yup. And then all of a sudden, I think I got the text from either Sasha or Rose that night, and they're like, this is the quote, "You're fucking breaking up with me at fucking Morris Ramen." And I was like, we made it! We're not just a Tinder first date spot, we're now a breakup spot.
And then, like, how dare you taint this beautiful spot with your madness? Oh my God. How dare you? That is that is precisely right. But speaking about daring, you are a daring woman, and many a person feels proud to know you and be in community with you, including me, of course. I just want to say thank you for honoring us with your story about Morris. And I know it could never be contained in a little podcast, but I really appreciate the conversation and hearing about, all of the bits. And also, I hope you keep daring greatly, because you're out here and, man, you've got beautiful dreams. So thank you for everything.
Thank you so much, Bianca. Thank you very much for having me.
That's Francesca Hong, co-owner and chef of the former Morris Ramen. She's also a Wisconsin state representative.
Pivoting to something new, I caught up with our Chief Revenue Officer, Michael Ziviak, about a new job opening that we've got right now.
Hey, Michael, welcome.
Thank you.
So for those who don't know, you are CityCast's Chief Revenue Officer. It's wonderful to have you with us. And you are hiring for a role for CityCast Madison. What's the role?
We're currently seeking a senior sales executive to join our awesome team in Madison. This person will play a crucial role in connecting Madison area advertisers with our extremely engaged and local-friendly audience, both on the podcast and in the Madison Minutes newsletter.
One of the things I love most about CityCast and what makes it special is the people. Like, I adore all the folks that I work with across the network. It's diverse, full of creative talent, and the quality of teamwork and supporting teamwork is really real. Plus, it's just awesome working on content that's dedicated to the city I love. What, in your opinion, sets CityCast apart as an employer for folks listening who might be considering to apply?
At CityCast, we're not just a podcasting and newsletter company. We are deeply committed to telling the stories of our cities and bringing communities together. Our team is passionate about what we do, and we offer a really supportive and inclusive work environment where employees are encouraged to thrive and grow professionally. It's really a special place to work.
So how can people interested apply for the senior sales executive position?
Interested candidates can visit our website at citycast.fm/careers. That's citycast.fm/careers to learn more about the position and submit their application.
You heard it here. Thank you so much, Michael. Really appreciate you sharing your time and sharing this opportunity for all of the folks listening.
Thank you, Bianca. I really appreciate it.
That's all for today here on CityCast Madison. I'm Bianca Martin. If you enjoyed the show, why not share this episode with someone who loves soul food? We'll be back tomorrow morning with more stories from around the city. Until then, take good care of each other.